Question 71. What criteria should Black entrepreneurs use to identify their best business opportunities? One of the most common questions asked by aspiring Black entrepreneurs is, what business to go into? The answer is a simple. Willie the actor Sutton, an infamous national bank robber, supplied the answer when, in the 1950s, he was asked why he robbed banks. Sutton answered, because that is where the money is. Like Willie Sutton, Blacks should go into business where the most accessible money is and where they have a distinct competitive advantage. Black Americans have an annual disposable income of over $1 trillion, which as a nation within a nation makes them one of the richest nations on earth. Ironically, because they do not aggregate those dollars to build group strength, approximately 98% of their total income is spent in non-Black owned businesses. The biggest and most accessible pot of money that a Black business owner should have a good chance to capture is the money held in the hands of Black consumers. Blacks could dramatically increase the group benefit of their consumer dollars if Black merchants and Black consumers practice group-based economics using the advantages of home, court leverage, and the cultural buying patterns of their own people. If Black Americans practiced economic nationalism and protected their aggregated resources, it wouldn't be so easy for non-Black businesses to capture Black consumer dollars and weaken the group socially and economically. To provide a protective environment for Black businesses, the group should model the historical patterns of ethnic immigrants and build business enclaves. Immigrants historically built business enclaves inside of their residential communities primarily because they felt safer doing business with their own people, wanted to circulate their money through the hands of their own people, and it was a form of protection. Institutional racism, by design, will establish Black neighborhoods and establish captive Black consumer markets. Black dollars await unclaimed for takers. Blacks as a group must support Black entrepreneurship by building Black business districts in which they can physically aggregate and practice group-based economics. The reality is that because Blacks do not have communities, it is not always easy to support Black businesses. Most Black shoppers are unwilling to crisscross all over town in search of a Black business. However, when they aggregate into a Black business district or enclave, Blacks who may live in scattered locations can demonstrate their broad sense of community by supporting the Black businesses in those districts or enclaves. The businesses that are the most important to locate in the district are the ones that meet general consumer needs and are based on cultural characteristics. The criteria that Black entrepreneurs should use to identify their best business opportunities ought to be structured on two key powernomics elements. 1. Build businesses, based upon the group's competitive advantages, and 2. Dominate in business wherever your group dominates in population and consumer spending patterns. Building businesses based upon competitive advantages. A group competitive advantage comes out of whatever the group owns and controls. Blacks thrive when they are the majority and act, produce, consume wisely as the majority in their own best interest. Majority status establishes a potential baseline of income for the community and its businesses. Blacks have unique hair. That should be a competitive advantage that they own and control. It is something the group owns and should control, and it should be a competitive advantage. Blacks therefore should own and control the hair salons, wigs, hair products, and every aspect of Black hair. Competitive advantages also come from what a group produces. Blacks generate music, dance, clothing, and other distinctive cultural products. Black entrepreneur must find racial advantages. Then capture those disposable consumer dollars. Black dollars should revolve around the community at least 8 to 12 times before leaving. Revolving disposable dollars would enrich the community and businesses by a factor of the number of times that it revolves. Build around Black consumers' needs and spending patterns. Blacks should build business around the basic needs of their people, especially in the essential areas of water, food, medicine, healthcare, and energy. These consumer essentials ought to be readily available in every Black community in normal times, but especially during hard times or civil disasters. Black businesses ought to produce and sell consumer items that Blacks spend a disproportionate amount of their disposable income on. Numerous marketing firms identify the product categories in which Blacks dominate as consumers. For instance, music, cosmetics, fad clothing, hair products, and certain foods. When the society provides you with only lemons, go into the lemonade business. In other words, convert negative group characteristics or conditions into positive business opportunities. Here are two examples of business opportunities based on Black domination. Although Black Americans are only 12.5% of the national population, they dominate the national prison population and today are 51%, just as they were 150 years ago. Various levels of government spend billions of dollars annually to purchase materials, food, equipment, and supplies for prisons, such as sheets, blankets, beddings, shoes, and uniforms. The average construction cost for each jail cell is over $8,000, plus over $24,000 a year in administration costs per prisoner. Prison systems spend more than $3 billion annually procuring shaving lotion, soap, and other toiletries for Black prisoners. Additional billions are spent on contracts to private corporations to manage prisons and provide health care. Prison work and recreation equipment also represent major business opportunities. Business opportunities built around prisons demonstrate a key principle and criteria for Black business development. Dominate in business wherever the group dominates in population and consumer spending patterns. Another example is presented by marijuana. Blacks are more likely than other groups to be arrested for use and sale of marijuana. Raising marijuana for recreational and medical purposes will become a major revenue-producing industry. Blacks should be preparing to build vertical business opportunities in this field where they dominate as consumers. Potential Black entrepreneurs must be careful in selecting business opportunities, but should first apply the powernomics principles of identifying group competitive advantages, consumer patterns, and where possible, build the business where there is a physical Black business district.